again this week after the holiday weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy, thank you as always for coming on and joining me.
You bet. Good to see you, Chris. Thank you.
Lots happened since we last talked. We took last week off for the holidays, and Division II football playoffs have underwent. Underwhelmed. I don't know if that's the right word I wanted to use there, but they're underway, and we're rolling right through the MIAA football playoffs. And up in our neck of the woods, Northwest Missouri State, they're still in the playoffs. They're going up to Big Rapids, Michigan this weekend for Ferris State, and that one about 10, 11 hours away. So that's how things are looking for us on this end, at least.
Well, first of all, I'd say, Chris, the football committee in Division II did a really good job with selections and seeding. I think 3 of the 4 super regions have a 1 versus 2 matchup. And in our super region 3, you've got number 1 Ferris State and number 3 Northwest Missouri State. So, really the only argument you could make probably is whether Northwest deserved to be the 2 seed and have a home game this past weekend. But, they took care of business. They played great. It was a good year. I'd say a really good year for the MIAA to get 3 teams in the playoffs, to have, a team that was actually wins a game in Super Region 4 and to, have the chance to see an MIAA team compete in a different region, a different super region. I hope that continues. I hope someday that, perhaps it leads to an MIAA semifinal or championship game matchup. That would be awesome. But Northwest is still playing. They've got a tough game this weekend with Ferris State. I think if they get by Ferris State, good things can happen. But Ferris State's undefeated. They're a great football team. They're tough to beat in December on their home field, and but that's why they play it. And Northwest certainly has the type of defense and the type of run game to win December football games. So I'm looking forward to watching it, and hopefully the MIAA will come out on top.
I know we talked about a few weeks ago too about what the regions would end up looking like, how many teams MIAA would get in. Could they get 3? It looked hard to do in any region at this point.
Right.
Getting 3 in an unconventional way of Nebraska Kearney going to Super Region 4 and a little bit of a change there. So I guess kind of your thoughts on how that kind of all unfolded for getting 3 teams in, and then for Northwest playing a Central Washington team, which if you think of regions, that one kind of this looks at you kind of funny, but
right,
just getting 3 teams in though the way the MIAA did.
It's kind of a new rule, I think, in Division II, where the lower seeds in a geographic region, seeds 5, 6, 7, could be moved into another region and play a road game if that change helps eliminate a charter flight. And obviously the concept is about being financially prudent and trying to have matchups in the playoffs that allow more teams to drive instead of fly. And we've got some teams, near the border of a region, Fort Hays State, Central Oklahoma, Nebraska Kearney. So this might be the type of seeding and arrangements we see in future years with Division II football. I think it's good for the sport. I think we've seen in Division I where you've got teams from the same conference that are matched up in the Elite Eight or the semifinals or a championship game. And if those are the 2 best teams in the country, let's let them decide the championship at the championship level and not at the Elite Eight or the regional final level. So I'm for it, and I think it's a positive. I was happy to see Kearney go into that super region and get a road win. They did a long trip down to St. Angelo, Texas, and ran into a really good football team this past weekend. But it's something new for Division II football of being able to do that. And I think it's very positive development for the sport and for the MIAA.
Is this maybe a step down the road of kind of getting away from region, so to speak, just by having the 5, 6, and 7s able to move to help with financial, and just kind of instead of having 4 super regions, it's top 28 get in and off you go that way too?
I don't know that we'll ever get out of the regional format for NCAA championships, Chris. I think it's such an important part of Division II and its identity, and it really its philosophy of trying to control expenses. And so the idea that you're going to incentivize during the regular season teams staying close to home and playing teams within their area, their geographic area, or their region, and then using that to help determine what your championship bracket looks like. I think that to some extent will always be with us in Division II, but I think there's room for improvement, and I think we can figure out a way to do both objectives. One, to be financially prudent and responsible with our resources, and to limit travel and missed class time and all of those kinds of things, in how we determine what the playoff structure looks like. But I also think that we're missing an opportunity to take care of our student athletes by making sure that the most deserving schools out of the most deserving conferences are receiving the postseason opportunities that they've earned and that they qualify for. And the idea that postseason bursts and access has to be equitable, it's wrong in Division II athletics. This is supposed to be meaningful competition, and you have to earn it. So I think there's a way to do both. I think there's a way to create kind of a model that allows conference champions to kind of stay within their geographic region, and then at-large teams to be selected and seeded more in a national view of strength and who deserves it most. And I think that's actually a combination that Division III uses, and something that we should probably borrow from Division III and how we structure all of our big championships.
Last question for you on the topic, and it's easy for me to kind of sit back and say top 28 what's going. How much of this is a balancing act, like you've kind of already touched on, of like the finances part and keeping those top seeds regionally, but you could send the other ones kind of other places too? Or how much is this kind of trying to balance everything and make sure that finances don't become a burden on Division II institutions when they're trying to go to postseason, and not just getting teams in, like you talked about, the most deserving teams need to be in there as well too?
Yeah, I think it is a balance, and I'm afraid that the last few years we've been a bit out of balance in Division II, and I think we need to hit that sweet spot of being financially responsible with where teams are going in the playoffs, but how we select teams and who gets in. We need to scrap this idea that every conference gets two berths, or every conference gets one team in. That's the fair thing to do. We're trying to decide a national champion, and the most deserving teams in the conferences that compete at the highest level, those are the conferences that deserve more teams, and the teams that have earned the right to make it to the championship. So I think our selection process can improve. I think there's some models out there that we can use, but you use the right word. It has to be a balance. We have to do it in a responsible way, a fiscally responsible way, but we need to make sure we're getting the right teams into the playoffs.
Another MIAA team in action this weekend, Emporia State going on to Texarkana. I've been to Texarkana a few times. That's kind of good drive through
Yeah.
scenic parts of the country a little bit, some back roads here and there. Texarkana, Emporia State going down there for a bowl game this weekend too.
Yeah, I think these are great opportunities for our MIAA football programs. We've been on quite a roll the last few years in success in bowl games, and there are 2 bowl games that are occurring this year in our geographic area. The Heritage Bowl in Corsicana, and unfortunately, we did not get a team into that game this year, but we did, as you mentioned, get Emporia State in the Barry Live United Bowl down in Texarkana, and I think we're matched up with a team out of the Lone Star this year, and it's a great opportunity for teams that don't make the playoffs to get a couple of extra weeks of practice to provide something to talk about on the recruiting trail when you're talking to prospects, and just a great addition to the season to let your seniors have one more chance, and your young student athletes to have a chance to grow and play. So I'm proud that Emporia got selected, and hoping that the MIAA continues its unbeaten streak in bowl games here coming up on Saturday.
You talk about having a couple bowls in the geographic region and everything. A lot of people think Division I, that's where all the bowl games are, but Division II, there are these opportunities. If you don't make the playoffs, you still have that chance. MIAA has been pretty successful with bowl games. Just how much do the MIAA schools want to be in bowl games at this point? Because sometimes you have a long season and maybe you have a lot of injuries or something kind of keeps you from going. But how impactful and how much does MIAA embrace these bowl game opportunities?
As a conference, we certainly embrace it with even financially, Chris. We the last couple of years we've paid to have our officials go down and officiate the games, and that's something that the conference covers, those expenses, and we feel that anything we can do to help these bowl games be successful is important. Our schools have to make a tough decision. There are schools at the end of the year, Chris, that for a variety of reasons, injuries and just a long season, seniors being ready to call it a career, just different scenarios that teams have to deal with. And I think the teams that make the decision we're going to play in a bowl game, at least from our conference, take it very serious. And it's not just about, playing, it's about trying to win the game. And we've had, we talk about this bowl streak the last 4 or 5 years. The last couple of years, we've had some teams that have been down quite a bit at halftime and have made a big second half rally to win these games. So it means a lot, not just to be in the game, but to actually come out with a win and a victory, and to have bragging rights over whether it's the Great American Conference or the Lone Star Conference, to be able to say that they won that game.
Besides Super Region Finals and Emporia State in the bowl game this weekend, not the only sports still going for the MIAA. Soccer, volleyball. It's still busy for a lot of teams in the postseason right now too, just with the playoffs and being able to keep playing late into the year.
Yeah, I think December is a magical time of the year, not just for the holidays, but also for the MIAA being able to enjoy these postseason opportunities. And Central Missouri is still alive in women's soccer, and we've got our women's volleyball regional championship is coming up this weekend at UCM as well, and we've got 4 teams that have a shot to go on and make it to the Elite Eight in women's volleyball, and we've talked about Northwest and Emporia State still being alive in football. So a lot going on. I think many fans have turned the page to winter sports, and it's all about basketball and wrestling, and and soon indoor track. But for the conference office, we're still cheering on fall sports, and that makes late November and December fun when you're in the conference office and you've still got teams playing.
You brought up Central Missouri still in soccer, and they've been a dominant program for years. And you look at volleyball. If you talk about overloading a region with 4 teams getting in there and 4 top 15, top 20 teams arguably throughout the whole year, just what does that say with that region? Just how tough not just the region is, but MIAA, if there's 4 teams sitting in there and they're all top tier, top 25 programs going at it, and they're all in the same region because they're on the same conference.
Yeah, the MIAA, as we've talked all year, is absolutely loaded in women's volleyball with Kearney and Northwest Missouri State, Washburn, Central Missouri, all having been ranked in the top 10 in the country at one point during the year. But what's a shame in women's volleyball in Division II is that perhaps a conference that's just as strong as the MIAA is right here in our region, and that's the Northern Sun Conference with programs like Concordia, St. Paul, St. Cloud State, historically Minnesota Duluth, and just great volleyball in the Northern Sun. And we get to match up with them in the Great American Conference in our region, and then only one school's going to move on to the Elite Eight out of probably between the Northern Sun and the MIAA, probably 8 to 10 of the best 15 volleyball programs in the country. So it's it's a sport that, as we talked about with football, I think we can probably do a little better job of figuring out how to have some financially responsible championship brackets, but reward the teams that need to be competing and playing for the national championship. And but it'll be exciting. Anyone wanting to see some of the best volleyball in the country this weekend, make your way to Central Missouri, buy a ticket and watch some great volleyball regional championship action.
MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy with me here on MIAA Monday. I'll get you out of here on this topic. It's a very intriguing, interesting development that you guys have had really for the last 6 months with the name, image, and likeness. You guys have a new partnership out that you guys announced. I think it was about a week and a half ago, I think, if dates are running away from me now that we're in the holidays that I lose track. But about a week and a half ago, you guys announced a new partnership too.
Yeah, we announced, and thanks for mentioning this, Chris. We announced a new partnership with Open Doors, and as I've kind of surveyed the landscape of companies and businesses that are involved in collegiate name, image, and likeness, Open Doors is at the top. They're the industry leader. They've been around for a while, more than 10 years. They're a technology company, and they've been for the last decade matching athletes with brands and potential corporate relationships. The past 9.5 years, they've been doing that at the professional level and for Olympic athletes, and now they've entered into the collegiate space. And yeah, we were excited. I think it was just last week. I think we did it right before Thanksgiving and announced that we were the first NCAA Division II conference to have a partnership with Open Doors. They have one of their top executives, a gentleman by the name of Blake Lawrence, is actually a Shawnee Mission West graduate, played football at the University of Nebraska, and he helped launch this business when he got done playing at Nebraska to help students that had exhausted their eligibility or that moved into professional sports to find these opportunities. And so he knows the MIAA. He knows the strength of our conference. We've seen some of the stats, Chris. We've talked about it on this podcast. The MIAA is rated in the top 15. Every name, image, likeness ranking that's come out since July 1st, looking at activity in all NCAA conferences. We've been in the top 15 ahead of a number of Division I conferences. We've consistently been the top Division II or Division III conference in the country. And this new platform will really give our student athletes a place that they can go and discover these opportunities. It's like a job board for individuals that are looking to use their social media reach or their brand or their image and connect it with the corporation or business that wants to utilize their services. So it's a matchmaking service. It's a job board. It's aimed at helping make MIAA student athletes more successful, and it's aimed at helping our coaches when they're on the recruiting trail to tell prospective student athletes, if you want to go to a campus and win national championships, get a good education, and maximize your brand more than anywhere else in Division II, and also a lot more than a number of Division I places, the MIAA is for you. So this is as much a place for our student athletes to go and be successful as it is for another recruiting tool for our coaches to use when they're talking to prospective student athletes.
Well, you sold me on it there with the last pitch. So, I mean, I don't want any more questions on it.
All right. You got eligibility left. So come on, Chris.
No one's going to take me for, number one, athletics, and number two, academics weren't my strong suit either. I kind of just I don't know how I got through some things in college, but that's a story for a different time.
Well, I think you and I are probably both better on the sidelines and talking about sports as opposed to showing our skills. So
I really don't need to pull a hamstring or tear something, just warming back up or anything like that. So
right.
No, it's an awesome opportunity for student athletes in the MIAA, and MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy, thank you as always for coming on. Enjoyed the conversation, and next week, who knows? We may be talking about a bowl victory, could be talking about more Division II football playoffs, and I can guarantee volleyball will still be around because someone's going to be going on with volleyball at least, and talk about Central Missouri soccer too.
Absolutely, and maybe we'll give the winter sports a little love next week as they've started. But Chris, as always, great to catch up with you. Thanks for doing this podcast. We appreciate it very much.
Absolutely, no problem. Thank you for your time, sir.